October 14th, 1944, Hurtgen Forest, Germany. The early morning mist clung thickly to the dense pines of the Hurtgen Forest. Sunlight barely pierced the canopy, leaving the forest floor in a perpetual twilight. Visibility was limited to a few meters, and every sound, snap of a branch, rustle of leaves, could betray a position. On a small rise near the village of Hurtgen, one American soldier lay prone, his M1903 Springfield sniper rifle carefully leveled. He was Corporal Charles Chuck Brown of the 26th Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Division. Brown was not just any infantryman. He had been trained in long-range marksmanship, camouflage, and battlefield patience. His orders were clear: observe, report, and delay any enemy movement toward the forward positions. As dawn slowly emerged, Brown scanned the undergrowth through his scope. To his left, a small clearing offered the first vulnerability in the German approach. Movement, a flash of gray and green, caught his eye. A squad of German soldiers, roughly 10 men, were advancing cautiously along a narrow trail, likely unaware of the lone American watching them. The forest around him was silent except for the distant rumble of artillery from the front lines, each concussion shaking the ground beneath Brown. He adjusted his breathing, calibrating for wind, distance, and the slight incline of the terrain. The first shot rang out, precise and controlled. The lead German soldier dropped silently into the underbrush, his comrades frozen in shock. The effect was immediate. Brown had shifted the momentum, buying precious time for his company entrenched deeper in the forest. From his vantage point, he could see the enemy platoon beginning to scatter, trying to locate the hidden shooter. Every step they took brought them closer to the kill zone he had memorized during reconnaissance. By mid-morning, Brown had been in position for nearly 3 hours. German reinforcements were arriving in pairs and threes, attempting to flank him. He moved only when absolutely necessary, repositioning to avoid detection, using felled trees, rocks, and shadows to obscure his presence. His patience was relentless. Each shot was calculated, each movement deliberate. At one point, an enemy machine gunner advanced into the clearing, threatening to pin down the American forward line. Brown tracked him through his scope, noting the rhythm of his breathing and the sway of the weapon. A single round from the sniper rifle found its mark, and the machine gun went silent. The platoon hesitated, confusion spreading as their ranks suffered loss after loss from an unseen adversary. By late morning, the forest seemed almost alive with tension. Every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig made Brown's finger tighten on the trigger. He had already taken out 8 enemy soldiers with precise shots, but more kept coming. The Germans were not retreating. They were regrouping, attempting to flush out the sniper who was now a thorn in their advance. A sudden movement drew his attention to the right flank, 3 soldiers attempting to circle around a fallen tree. Brown held his breath, tracking them carefully. One misstep, an exposed shoulder, a glint of sunlight on a helmet, was all he needed. A single, silent shot, and another threat was neutralized. Meanwhile, the main platoon was reorganizing. Officers tried to coordinate suppressive fire, while mortar teams lobbed rounds into likely hiding spots. The explosions shook the earth, throwing up clouds of snow and dirt, but Brown had chosen his position well. The small rise provided a clear line of sight while offering minimal exposure. Hours passed. Brown's senses were stretched to their limits. Hunger and thirst were secondary concerns. Adrenaline and focus dominated every thought. He occasionally peeked over his position to adjust for the changing sun angle, the slight shift in wind direction, and the movement of shadows across the forest floor. Around 1400 hours, German soldiers brought forward a light machine gun to pin down his location. The rattling of bullets through pine needles forced Brown to dive lower, the recoil of each shot jolting his shoulder. He patiently waited for the operator to make a mistake. When the gunner shifted slightly to take a better aim at the advancing infantry behind him, Brown's round struck true, silencing the weapon. The platoon faltered. Confusion and fear spread quickly among men who had expected to push through the forest with ease. Reports later indicated that several soldiers believed they were under fire from an entire American squad, not a lone sniper. Brown continued his methodical defense, By late afternoon, he had been engaging the enemy for over 6 hours without relief. His ammunition was running low, but he still held his ground, eliminating targets one at a time. Each success further disrupted the enemy's advance, slowing their timetable and allowing American forces elsewhere in the forest to reorganize and fortify. As dusk approached, the Germans attempted a final coordinated assault, moving in small groups through gaps in the forest. Brown's position became even more critical. He used every technique at his disposal: camouflage, misdirection, and careful timing of shots to create the illusion of a larger force. The result was devastating. The enemy assault stalled repeatedly, casualties mounting, morale dropping. By nightfall, the single sniper had inflicted enough damage to force a temporary German withdrawal. His stand had delayed an entire platoon and disrupted the advance toward the American lines. Exhausted, Brown finally allowed himself a brief moment to rest, but his vigil had achieved what 100 men could not: buying time and saving lives. Night had fully descended upon the forest by 1800 hours. The canopy of pine trees blocked out the last light, leaving Brown in near total darkness. Despite the exhaustion weighing down his limbs, he remained vigilant. The distant sounds of movement had quieted, but he knew the Germans were only regrouping for another attempt. Brown's ammunition was nearly spent. He counted the rounds remaining in his rifle magazine, carefully weighing each shot. Every pull of the trigger could mean the difference between survival and discovery. A single mistake could allow the enemy platoon to overwhelm him. From the shadows, he spotted small patrols moving cautiously, searching for signs of the elusive sniper. Brown adjusted his position slightly, using the uneven terrain to conceal himself. The cold bit at his exposed skin. Frost formed on his gear, but he ignored it, focusing solely on the enemy's movements. By midnight, German forces had fully withdrawn from the immediate area. Reports from survivors indicated confusion and miscommunication plagued the platoon. Casualties were higher than expected, and the psychological impact of facing a phantom sniper left the men hesitant to advance further. Brown allowed himself a moment to breathe. Alone in the dark forest, he reflected on the scale of what had just occurred. A single soldier, entrenched and focused, had held off an entire enemy platoon for over 12 hours. His stand disrupted operations, bought critical time for reinforcements, and saved numerous lives across the American line. In the weeks following, Brown was recognized for his extraordinary marksmanship, tactical ingenuity, and courage under fire. Official reports described the engagement in detail, noting the unusual circumstances: a lone defender holding his ground against overwhelming numbers. Fellow soldiers spoke of his calm demeanor and patience, traits that ensured he remained undetected and lethal throughout the encounter. The legacy of Brown's stand endures as a testament to the impact one individual can have on a larger battle. Military historians continue to cite this engagement as a prime example of defensive sniper tactics, the importance of discipline under fire, and the psychological effect a single well-positioned soldier can impose on a much larger force. As we reflect on these events today, it is a reminder of the courage and sacrifice of those who faced unimaginable odds. Their actions shaped the course of history and left an indelible mark on the annals of World War II.